to Chapter 2 Club's Smart Women's Guide to Breakups and Everything After. Today I'm here with matrimonial attorney from New York, Gabrielle Hagege, and we're going to be talking about getting familiar with the courts in your county. Hello, Gabrielle. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So let's talk about getting familiar with the courts in your county.
Well, I think the first important step is going to be in the selection of your attorney. You want ideally somebody who's knowledgeable about that specific courthouse. You're going to be appearing before a judge. It's best that your attorney has a rapport with the judge, a rapport with the court staff, which is going to be invaluable to you. They'll be able to, have that rapport established with the judge where if the judge knows your attorney, if the judge knows that your attorney, is a reliable reporter of the facts, someone that's fair-minded, someone that is, looking to resolve cases, but that really the issues that need the court's intervention are ones that are beyond, simple back and forth, you'll be able to garner a lot of respect and walk into a room with the respect that that attorney has earned in terms of that particular venue.
Is that online, or how does one go about finding if an attorney has a good rapport with a judge?
Right. So absolutely. So what I would look and question is, in any consultation that you have, just make sure that they actually practice a lot within that venue. You're not always going to know which judge you're going to get there. For example, where we practice in Brooklyn, there's 6 or 7 different matrimonial judges, but we appear so much in front of them collectively that they know us. We've done hundreds of cases before them. You just need to make sure that your attorney is one that regularly appears in that venue. Other ways that you can look to it is looking at bar association. You can always call the bar associations in any county that you live in to kind of get a referral. And the way in which those attorneys are part of that referral system is that they actually are members of the bar in that specific county. So that helps you a lot to navigate or narrow down who is actually an active member of that bar association in the county that your divorce case is going to be before.
Okay. All right, cool.
So also I would say that, you need to understand, once you know who your judge is, you need to understand what their default positions are. There's a lot of issues that these judges take a default position where they stand usually. So these are, custody issues, whether they're issues related with finance. You want to know walking into that courtroom what that judge typically does in any given situation. So are they a judge that is typically of the mind that parents should share equal time with the children? Or are they a judge that really believes that children require one primary residence? You need to know this before, spending a lot of time and a lot of money before a judge arguing one position or another. You want to be able to effectively know what hurdles you're facing, what issues are critically important to surmount those hurdles, and you want to be able to use your knowledge of that judge's position to your advantage in litigation or any negotiations. Let's say, for instance, that that the judge that you're appearing for is typically a 50-50 judge, meaning that they typically fashion custody access with 50% of time spent with one parent and 50% of the time spending with another. You want to utilize that information the most effective way possible in terms of your own litigation strategy going forward. That applies also to your finances. Ask your attorney these questions. Do they know what the judge's position typically is? Ask them to look at prior written decisions from the judge on these issues, especially if it's a finite issue. If they've already decided on an issue similar to what is before them in your case, you should know it. And you should know how to distinguish your specific fact pattern from the fact pattern that they were faced with before. Because essentially, unless you can convince them that one, they were wrong the last time that they decided this issue, or two, that your case is actually not like the case they've decided before, you kind of understand within the grander scope what they'll do in your case. So you need to either be able to distinguish it completely from the fact pattern in your case, or to make a legal argument,
Right.
which is something that is your attorney would do as to why they got it wrong the first time. So kind of knowing the minefield that you're going to be walking through helps you a lot in knowing what to spend your money on, knowing what to spend your time on, knowing where the pitfalls may be, knowing where you want to highlight how different your case is from the other cases that the judge has decided that may look on first glance like your case, but are not. And you want to be able to highlight that for the judge as much as possible.
Okay. And then like how far in advance do you know which judge is going to be assigned to you? Is that
So yeah, it depends on the county that you're in. You know, some counties only have one or two judges, right? So you know automatically when you're entering into the matrimonial space or divorce proceedings, you know who you're going to get. But your first appearance, at least in New York, you know which judge you're going to have. So, and that judge will stick with you throughout the litigation, unless, you know, they move to another part or are reassigned somewhere, they'll stick with you during your whole divorce litigation. So in New York County or Kings County, you'll know that there's a finite pool of who you can be assigned to. You're assigned to them at random. You know, it's kind of, once you file a document called a request for judicial intervention, you'll automatically get assigned to a judge. And then you will be able to know or discuss with your attorneys, you know, where does this judge stand? What can we expect from him or her? You know, what are the pitfalls? What do I need to highlight for them that makes my case so different than, you know, the thousands of situations that they've been confronted with in the past?
right? Okay.
And it's also about where do you want to spend your time and money? Because if you know that the likely outcome is going to be X, you know, it might be better for you to go into negotiation rather than litigation strategy. You know, try to get as much as you can from the process rather than leave it up to the judge, because you know the judge is going to likely, you know, find a resolution that you do not want. So if you know that, then you might be more inclined to pursue negotiations where you can get more out of the process.
Okay. And is the judge assigned, like, how much of advance notice is the judge assigned before you actually show up at your first court? Is it like 30 days or does that vary also?
Typically that in New York, I can only speak to New York because that's where I practice, but typically in New York, you're given 20 to 30 days before the first appearance to come in, unless you're filing an emergency application. Then that day you'll be assigned someone because it's an emergency, but you want to be seen before someone in those cases the day of. So, but typically in a normal situation where you're just saying, you know, we want to appear before a judge because we can't resolve this outside of the court process, that's 20 to 30 days that you'll get a return. Please appear on such and such date before such and such judge.
Okay, so that's a good amount of time to kind of get with your attorney and kind of figure out the ins and outs of this judge and to kind of be prepared and planning a strategy to present.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to also, you know, as the process continues and as more and more finite issues are the issues that you can't agree on, then you can always ask your attorney to do some research and to see if there's any written decision issued by that judge on these finite issues. Because if that's the case, then you need to know, and you need to know whether or not you can change their mind.
Yeah, great. This is very useful. Luckily, I didn't have to go to court, but if I did, I would really want to be prepared and know how to plan for the judge and what to do strategically with my attorney. So I hope the viewers enjoyed hearing all these tips from you, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And viewers out there, we appreciate you watching us, and you can find out more information and resources at chapter2club.com, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.